There's a sealed case buried deep inside California's court system, and somehow, Meghan Markle and her mother Doria Ragland are right at the center of it. It's not just sealed, it's locked tighter than a vault at Windsor Castle. No one, not reporters, not lawyers, not even court insiders, can get their hands on it. And yet, this mysterious legal file isn't about a royal scandal or tabloid drama. It's about something much quieter and much more dangerous. A so-called caregiving company, one employee, all cash, no paper trail, and behind it all, Doria herself. At first glance, it sounds like a simple labor dispute, but dig even a little deeper, and you start hitting walls, missing documents, vanished records, and the biggest red flag of all, the alleged involvement of California Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, the same guy who once publicly defended Meghan and Harry's crumbling foundation. So why would a state governor go out of his way to protect a tiny one-woman business with no office and no staff? That's where things start to spiral, because this sealed case might not just be about unpaid wages. It could involve the elderly, missing money, and a network of legal protection so tight it feels like someone's hiding something big. And if even a fraction of the whispers are true, this isn't just another headline. It's a house of cards on the edge of collapse. The company at the heart of this sealed case sounds almost wholesome at first. It's called Loving Kindness in Your Care Management, a name that screams comfort and compassion. But the reality, it's something else entirely. There's no physical office, no team of caregivers, no visible infrastructure. Just one name on every piece of paperwork: Doria Ragland. She's listed as the sole operator. No employees, no payroll, no tax records showing regular wages. And yet, she supposedly provides personal care services to wealthy elderly clients. Clients who pay in cash, exclusively. No checks, no credit cards, no bank transfers, just old-fashioned bills. And every time someone contacts the business, they don't get a receptionist. They get Doria herself, replying directly from her personal iPhone. But here's where it gets unsettling. Before she even discusses services or availability, she asks one thing: where do you live? If you're not calling from an ultra-rich zip code, Santa Barbara, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, you're not getting in. This isn't a caregiving service for the public. It's a velvet rope operation targeting the rich, isolated, and elderly. And with no digital footprint, no paper trail, and no team to oversee or report her actions, Doria runs the entire show in the shadows. Which begs the question, how does something so invisible end up in a legal dispute serious enough to be completely sealed by the state? Next, the legal paperwork hiding in plain sight, and what it might be trying to cover up. Buried in the company's filings is one bizarre line: a legal clause that says no officer or director has a final judgment from the Labor Department unless an appeal is pending. Sounds harmless? Not quite. Most companies just state the obvious: no past violations. This one adds layers, like it's trying to dodge a direct admission. It's written in legal fog, and legal experts say that language doesn't just appear for no reason. It's a red flag, one that hints something's already gone wrong behind the scenes. And here's where things get even weirder. When attorneys tried to dig deeper, they found the case, a real judgment, but every file was sealed. Not restricted, sealed, no access. Not even court insiders could pull it up. And according to whispers, it wasn't sealed by a judge. It was sealed by Governor Gavin Newsom himself. Let that sink in. A sitting governor allegedly stepping in to shut down a labor dispute involving a cash-only one-woman business. And just when you think that's the peak of weird, what comes next blows it wide open. Here's where the story stops sounding like a quirky legal issue and starts feeling like a full-blown cover-up. Because according to legal insiders, the sealed case tied to Doria's caregiving company wasn't locked down by accident. It was allegedly sealed by none other than California Governor Gavin Newsom. Why would a state governor get involved in a small labor dispute involving a one-woman business with no office and no public presence? That doesn't happen, ever. Newsom has a long list of political fires to deal with: wildfires, homelessness, billion-dollar budgets. But this tiny case somehow made it to his desk, and instead of letting the legal system run its course, it got buried, fast. And here's the kicker. This isn't the first time Newsom has gone out of his way to protect the Markle name. When Meghan and Harry's Archwell Foundation got caught in a messy paperwork situation, Newsom jumped to their defense. He called it a non-issue, said the media was blowing things out of proportion. But let's be real. Archwell isn't exactly a model of transparency. Millions have been funneled through it, and no one really knows where it goes. So now the same governor who defended their foundation is possibly shielding Doria's legal mess too. It's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. And the next part of that pattern? A sudden explosion in wealth that no one can explain. What happened to Doria's bank account is enough to make anyone raise an eyebrow. That's next. Not long ago, Doria Ragland was struggling just to keep up with her property taxes. Public records show she inherited her father's modest home, and even that came with debt she couldn't immediately pay off. Fast forward a few years and she's reportedly worth over $9 million. No lottery win, no book deal, no booming business empire, just millions out of nowhere. Where did the money come from? Her caregiving company has no visible revenue stream. No online reviews, no licensing, no payroll. If that's her main income, she'd have to be charging more than a top Beverly Hills surgeon just to get close to those numbers. And the timing? It's a little too perfect. Her wealth explosion started right after Meghan married into the royal family. Coincidence? Or calculated? Because just as Meghan stepped into the global spotlight, Doria's entire financial life transformed. Quietly, behind the scenes. No headlines, no questions. But here's where it turns from suspicious to strategic. The kind of wealth Doria has now isn't flashy, it's shielded, and the way she gained it suggests something much deeper than good fortune. Because when you control the right clients, you control access, and what Doria had access to was worth far more than anyone realized, and the way she used that access, that's what comes next, and it's where things take a darker turn. Now here's where the so-called caregiving business starts to look like something far more calculated. Doria doesn't serve the general public. She targets the wealthy, the elderly, and the isolated, clients with millions in assets, and often no immediate family around. And when someone like that invites a care manager into their life, the line between caregiver and controller starts to blur. According to insiders, every new client conversation begins with one question: where do you live? Not what care do you need, not who referred you, just what's your zip code? And if it doesn't scream wealth, the door shuts immediately. Why does that matter? Because with enough trust, a caregiver can gain more than access to the house. They can gain access to the money. That means power of attorney, conservatorship rights, banking privileges, the kind of legal tools that let you move funds without ever raising a red flag. And Doria isn't working alone. The attorney most often tied to her dealings? Rick Gino, a name that keeps popping up in high-level conservatorship cases. Not the kind of guy you call for small claims. The kind of guy you call when you want total control. On paper. And suddenly, this business model doesn't feel like elder care. It feels like a system, a setup designed not to help people, but to quietly take over their lives. And just when it seemed like no one was watching, something cracked, because someone might have finally caught on. Everyone loves to talk about Meghan Markle's Hollywood connections, but her real genius, it's not the spotlight, it's the timing and the paperwork. Because while the world was busy watching the royal romance unfold, Meghan and Doria were already moving behind the curtain. As early as 2018, before the wedding, documents were being filed, domains were purchased, company names locked in, legal structures put in place. By May 2019, everything was up and running. Foundations launched, business entities activated. Money quietly began to move. Not loudly, not publicly, but with precision. This wasn't random. It wasn't spontaneous. It was methodical. And here's what makes it even more disturbing. The more money that came in, the more invisible everything became. The businesses got harder to trace, the financial routes more tangled. And anytime scrutiny popped up, it was handled, disappeared, explained away. This wasn't a charity rollout. It was a system built to protect money, hide control, and shield key players from the kind of transparency that usually comes with wealth. And if that's how it was designed, then what triggered the sealed case? Someone saw something, and they didn't stay quiet. By now it's clear, this isn't just a fluke. It's not a one-off case or an accidental oversight. What's happening around Meghan Markle and Doria Ragland looks like a carefully engineered system, one that protects power, buries secrets, and keeps the public asking the wrong questions. We're talking about a sealed labor case no one can touch, a mysterious cash-only business that targets the rich and elderly, a sudden fortune with no visible source, and a governor who just so happens to keep stepping in at all the right times. That doesn't happen by chance. Doria's entire empire has been built quietly, in the shadow of Meghan's fame. And Meghan? She's the shield. Her celebrity status gives everything an air of legitimacy. Hollywood rolls out the red carpet. Politicians smile for cameras. Journalists tread lightly, because who wants to challenge a woman the press still treats like royalty? But while the image stays polished, the cracks are showing. Whispers are turning into questions. And behind every sealed file and carefully crafted press release, there's a pattern of control, reinvention, and silence. And let's not forget, this isn't just about money. It's about people, vulnerable elderly clients, potentially isolated, manipulated, and stripped of their protections.